From hotspots and hidden gems to lots of local flavor, it's your guide to all things good, the unscripted way. And tonight we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Hello everyone and welcome to LA Unscripted. I'm Dana Devin from San Laurel Restaurant, created by Spanish chef and humanitarian Jose Andres. But before we get to the feasting for the festivity, we're hitting the streets with a local artist inspiring change one mural at a time.
I've done over 100 murals in Los Angeles. It's about the representation and a message of empowerment, and it's achieved not just through me, but through the community. My name is Sergio Robledo. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm a fine artist, muralist, and educator. My dad immigrated actually here to Boyle Heights from Nicaragua, and then my mom's Mexican. Honestly, my first mural, I didn't even realize I was doing a mural, but I recall drawing an image on my wall in my bedroom when I was a kid. But then, you know, being around different scenes from graffiti artists to other fine artists, I started to see the potential of large-scale pieces, and I was attracted to it. We're in Boyle Heights at First Street Billiards. I painted this mural in 2018, and this mural specifically is paying honor to the East Low streetscapers. I grew up in Downey, but as far as art influence goes, one that really stands out in my memory is Norman Rockwell. He had this gift for capturing the nuances of narratives and storytelling. And then, you know, even at the end of the career, he started to realize he needed to use his art for a greater purpose. So the one at Albion Riverside Park in Lincoln Heights, the Department of Cultural Affairs wanted me to tap into civil rights, local athletes of accolade, local landmarks, and the history of the LA River. So, you know, at the forefront in that mural, you have Sal Castro, who was the teacher that led the walkouts in the late 60s, Paula Cristostomo, who was a student, who still is currently active in equality and education, Bobby Castillo, Leo Santa Cruz, who's a boxer, Kenny Washington, who was the first African-American signed into the NFL with the Los Angeles Rams. With my murals, I do some that are public, some that are in businesses, and even some that are in schools. So we're at Brooklyn Elementary in East LA. They just had their centennial and they wanted to have a mural to sort of celebrate that. One thing that kind of resonated was this idea of roots. It's the nutrient center where things get distributed out. One thing that's important is that we instill in them those values. So lining up directly with the centennial and the celebration not too long after was the actual graduation. So it was only perfect that you had the entire student body that was graduating, lining up the stairs, also proudly standing. We're at Euclid Avenue Elementary in Boyle Heights. In 2019, we painted this mural titled Si Se Puede, which basically means yes, you can. We interviewed teachers, locals, business people, city officials to get ideas, and kind of the resounding theme was we just want them to go on and go to college, and we want them to know that we're behind them, and while doing so, also acknowledging their culture and where they came from. I mean, one thing I know for sure is that art is very powerful. It's a silent dialogue. So whether they know it or not, it's being imparted on them. So when they look at this, I'm hoping it's more than anything a sense of pride. My other full-time job is I teach high school art out in Chino Hills at Ayala High School. And the reason why I even got into teaching is because it gave me something to care about. When I reflect on the opportunity I have to do these murals, I'm just grateful. And the end game for me is not necessarily myself being on the platform, but just making sure if I'm gonna leave a trace of anything, that it's good food for people, even if I die and pass on, like it's still gonna do a good thing in people.
And from street art to moving masterpieces, we're in the studio with LA-based Emmy-winning animator Jorge Gutierrez.
When When I first started, I was rejected a lot. People would usually say, this subject matter, Book of Life, a movie about dying, this subject matter is too weird or too morose. In my head, I always thought, eventually they're gonna catch up and they're gonna realize all this stuff is incredibly universal. My name is Jorge Gutierrez, and I'm an artist, writer, and director.
My lady! Please help me reunite with the love of my life.
Book of Life has a pretty long history. It took me 14 years to get that film made. It was an idea I wanted to make since film school, and then I was very lucky in that I got to pitch it to Guillermo del Toro, and he became a producer, and I owe the movie to him because with his backing and his support, we got to make the film, and it changed my life. To see a giant, building-sized billboard of our movie in my hometown I just cried like a baby. It was very overwhelming. I was originally born in Mexico City, and then when I was 9 years old, we moved to Tijuana. I've been drawing my whole life. I really got into drawing as a little kid, and my parents tell these stories that I was like a party monkey, where they would hold me up upside down and they would have me draw for the whole family. In 1994, I got into CalArts, California Institute of the Arts, and I moved to LA, and I've been here ever since. This is a poster from our movie, The Book of Life, and then this is a poster of Maya and the Three. As a kid who really wanted to make cartoons, I couldn't look up to other Latino creators because there weren't any examples for me. So I looked at Guillermo del Toro, and I said, I want to be the Guillermo del Toro of cartoons. I am obsessed with Mexican folklore and pop culture. I think the further you get away from your country, the more you romanticize it. And so for me, being able to grab from this buffet of culture and showcase it to the world has been sort of my life mission. My wife, Sandra Kiwa, Emmy-winning Sandra Kiwa, is someone that I've been with since high school. We've always been together. We've always worked together. She designs all the female characters. She does voices. She reads all my stuff before anybody. And I call her the muse. Maya and the Three is inspired by my wife, Sandra, when I met her. Maya is a teenage princess who's a rebel and goes on this crazy quest. And I feel like that's what happened to my wife. And early on, people were concerned, a female hero, Latin America, Mesoamerica, will that connect to the world?
Here we go. She looks like a real princess. Maya, are you okay? Can we help you? I got this.
The show came out in October of last year, and it was in the top 10 in 54 countries around the world. Stories from Latin America, studies from Latino creators, they can connect. We just need those opportunities. People have pictures of their families in their homes. These are our families to us. The biggest lesson I want to pass to my son, Luca, who's 13, is we come from a culture that's very strong. But do never, don't let the culture define you. You define the culture. Now that I've made enough stuff that I can inspire kids to go, if he could do it, maybe I can do it. Because if you don't see somebody that looks like you doing the things you want to do, it's a leap that's bigger. But if you see somebody that looks like you, that grew up like you, that literally is part of your culture, you go, well, if they could do it, maybe I can do it.
The Book of Life won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature Film in 2015. And now to the local couple trying to turn the page on history. Get ready to think big and shop small.
We have Mexican folklore, we have Asian American stories, Black history books, 50 African American women that changed the world. So it's a quick snapshot of the diversity present here in our store. My name is Stephanie Moran Reed, and welcome to Miha Books. So there's actually two pronunciations for our bookstore. One, Spanish speakers will see it as Miha, which is the colloquial word for my daughter in Spanish. It has a much deeper meaning for us because it's actually the first two initials of our daughter's first and middle name, Mireya Jamila. So another pronunciation is Mija.
Who are you?
I am Mexican American. Both my parents were born in Mexico and they now live here in the States. And my husband, he's Black, his parents are from the South. So our daughter, she's beautifully mixed with both of us. Miha Books is a multicultural children's bookstore that aims to highlight diverse children, diverse stories, multilingual stories.
This has always been something I would say we wanted to do in terms of a project that's impactful.
I like this bookstore because it has a lot of different types of books and they're all fun to read.
We opened our store November 1st of 2021. Our brand actually started in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. At the time, my daughter was turning 1. We struggled to find these books, not only in traditional retailers, but even online we struggled to find books that were representative of her culture, of other people's cultures. And so we started just as a resource online, building lists for other parents and educators to find these types of books to make it easier.
To know if you have this book, Sundays with Abuelita.
We do, we actually have one copy left.
Oh my God.
I've been writing books for over 13 years.
So part of our mission here is to include local authors and to highlight indie publishing houses that are creating extraordinary works that are just as valuable as the bestsellers.
This was a huge opportunity to really partner with somebody who kind of shared your vision, who already got the importance of multicultural content.
Yeah, it was extremely important for us to find books with representation because we truly believe that having these conversations from day one will lead her to loving her world, loving herself, and she won't know any different if we're introducing that to her from day one.
And we're spotlighting even more ways to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month after the break. The gowns, the art, the spicy chocolate. We'll be right back from the San Laurel restaurant in downtown LA. Observed from September 15th to October 15th, Hispanic Heritage Month honors the cultures and contributions of both Hispanic and Latino Americans. Welcome back to LA Unscripted from the stunning Conrad Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, where award-winning chef, humanitarian, and founder of World Central Kitchen, Jose Andres, continues to dish out positive change.
Jose Andres was the first Spanish chef to bring tapas to the United States. With his humanitarian work through World Central Kitchen and also being a celebrity chef, I think we all look up to him. Jose has a big influence on me. I've been with him for almost 10 years. He was the first chef to respond to any disaster or to be in the disaster zone.
We show up, boots on the ground, and we start feeding people. And in the process, the plan shows up.
During the pandemic, Jose Andres went above and beyond by setting up a World Central Kitchen site at the Dodger Stadium, feeding the LA Mission, the women's shelter, and then the community within the 3-mile radius. This is Jose Andres' return to LA. With Frank Gehry and related company, he's brought up 5 different concepts to this Conrad brand, which is San Laurel, Agua Viva, Poetry Bar, and Airlight, which is our pool service. We are in the brand new Conrad Hotel on the 10th floor in San Laurel restaurant, right across the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Here we have a beefsteak tomato tartare. We blanch the beefsteak tomato, dehydrate it, and then to have a texture of a steak.
Oh wow, the texture is unbelievable.
Tastes like a steak. The menu right now is California cuisine with a Spanish accent. This is lobster salpicón. So you have pepperoni peppers, tomato, and cucumber at the bottom.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I feel like I'm in science school. Wow. What is that?
So this is actually an orange thyme cloud. It's part of the Foggy Hill cocktail. It's a cocktail with mezcal, Spanish vermouth, and artichoke amaro and aperol.
The food here is so delicious, you guys, and it's healthy. And if you're going to see a show, you are literally steps from the Disney Concert Hall, right there. We'll be back with some delicious things to drink and eat and some incredible things to wear as we continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. We'll be right back. Welcome back to LA Unscripted from Conrad Hotel, Los Angeles, and our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. And continuing our thread of changemakers, Johanna Hernandez is considered one of the most influential Latina American designers whose evening wear has taken her from the streets of Compton straight to Beverly Hills.
Being a Latina woman here in Beverly Hills is really important because there are people who are not used to seeing that here. So for me, I just really want to work with excellence with everything, show the most beautiful designs, give the best customer service, the best quality. Hi, I'm Johanna Hernandez and I'm designer of Glaudy. Glaudy is evening gowns, bridal, men's bespoke suits. Glaudy is my brand that I designed, inspired by my parents actually, my mom and my dad. I grew up seeing them work at factories, sewing, and to people they were invisible as far as like they just made clothes, and to me I saw they were so talented. They showed me how to sew and unsew things, but it was just for fun. When I started growing up, I was like, this is not fair, like they're getting paid so little and it's like sweatshop work and these conditions aren't good. So they really inspired me to create my brand. So Gladys is my mother and I called it Glaudy to give it a twist. My first collection was on Wall Street, then it went to Bravo and all these different shows. And then I just started working for Fortune 500 companies until I was 27. So when I started Glaudy, it was all for charity. My friends and I got together, we wanted to do nonprofit fashion shows to bring Latinos together because all my friends are for different countries. And out of nowhere, as soon as I launched my collection, I get the hottest Latin pop stars to be in my fashion show and then to do their tours. So our Glaudy Bridal collection, I design it and then we make it in-house. So this is our Ariana dress. I designed it while I was in Rome. I love this gown for a woman who's not afraid to shine. So this is for a bride who loves the A-line dress and the mermaid dress as the skirt is removable. So our next dress, it's called Kaya. What I love about this dress is that we are showing here at Glaudy that in every skin tone, you could have the perfect nude mesh for your skin tone. And what's beautiful about this dress too is everything is hand beaded, hand placed, so everything looks to perfection.
I just love all of the flower, the floral details, and in the back here, how it just like ties up. I absolutely love that.
My men's collection is something that's very exciting. I grew up with all men, and honestly, one of the reasons why I started my collection is in 2020, my dad passed away of COVID. And I just wanted to really do something to empower men also. So what I love about our men's collection is that everything is handmade to fit their measurements perfectly. If you look inside, it's all personalized. We have custom lining. You could choose whichever lining you want.
Well, we've seen celebrities in your work as well.
So I've done like all the Latina legend stars, but one of the ones that has really been the most important and I love her so much is Serena Williams. Like, I grew up in Compton, and when she saw me, she knew who I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the legend, the GOAT, the best ever. So I went from Compton to Downey to now Beverly Hills. So I opened the store in 2019. The great thing about Beverly Hills is they're really open. I'm the first Latina since 1965 on the Beverly Hills Courier newspaper, which is really amazing. So the city in general has been super kind and has welcomed me with open arms.
And we celebrate your sparkle. Thank you. All right, now to a little spice. Have you ever had a traditional Mexican hot chocolate? Our Olivia De Bortoli is ready to whisk us away to a Culver City gym.
The traditional Mayan way of making chocolate has long been forgotten, but we found a shop that takes you back in time.
The Mexicans have a deeper understanding of chocolate by way of them obviously being closely connected to the Mayans. They even call it almost like a labor of love when you whisk chocolate. This is like a relatively traditional instrument for whisking chocolate. We use a metal whisk now, but the foam that comes up on top, they say that's the amount of love you put into the chocolate. We're a chocolate shop located in Culver City of Los Angeles, California. Like a shift in the culture of chocolate. We were one of the first bean to bar makers in Los Angeles. And as a result, also Los Angeles being, very pioneer-wise in terms of like food and industry, one of the first in the country. In the past like five or so years, there's been many more that have popped up. but we're still one of the only few that stone grind the chocolate and still don't temper the chocolate. So it still has that hand cut, that very unique texture to it.
So I went down to Mexico on a culinary tour to learn about really indigenous foods of Mexico. Found out that they enjoyed chocolate in a completely different way. So came back here, figured out how to make a hobby into a business.
What are you going to show me how to make today?
All right, so we are going to show you how to make our Mayan hot chocolate. We actually sell those powders in stores for people to make at home, but they say they can never get it how we get it in store.
Of course.
There's no great secret to it. We've just been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, of course.
So we have it down pat. I'll make a little circular motion.
Oh my gosh, this is cool. And voila, the final product. I'm going to take a sip. Here we go. Oh my gosh, that has more flavor than regular chocolate. It's got like a kick to it.
The Mayan story, monkeys were jumping from tree to tree. Then they knocked down a cacao pod. The cacao pod split open and landed on top of the fire. And it roasted the beans, and that's how they discovered chocolate. We think of chocolate as a bar. That's what our mind first jumps to. The Mayans, Aztecs, they never consumed chocolate as a bar. It was only as a drink, purely used for ceremony. And so its origin story, they considered it very divine, how they came across it.
The history of chocolate is so important to what we do. When I went to Mexico and I saw those mills going with the traditional stones, I thought chocolate is truly food. It's not confection or candy. And so it was really honoring this process of the history of chocolate.
And that is all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much to the beautiful San Laurel restaurant. And remember, Hispanic Heritage Month runs all the way through October 15th. So get out there and explore all the ways to give back to the community that makes up 49% of our beautiful city. Good night. We'll see you next time. Mwah!